All right, let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. Your workday is technically over, but your brain just didn't get the memo. It feels like it just bleeds and get every part of your evening, making it impossible to truly rest. Well, it turns out there's a science to why that happens, and even better, there's a clear strategy to take back your nights.
Does this sound a little too familiar? That jolt in the middle of the night, your mind already racing, making to-do lists. This quote, it's from a Reddit thread where tons of people shared this exact same struggle. It's this nagging feeling that you never really, truly clock out. And look, this has become the reality for so many of us in this always-on culture. The line between your work life and your personal life, it's gotten incredibly blurry. Thanks to all our tech, our offices are basically in our pockets now, which makes mentally disconnecting from the job harder than it has ever been. So, let's start with what might be the main culprit here, your smartphone. Because that feeling you have isn't just in your head. There is some serious data that shows how that little screen you scroll through at night is directly sabotaging your next day at work. A recent study in Frontiers in Psychology found that a staggering 93.3% of employees they surveyed use their smartphone at bedtime. Let that sink in. This isn't just some niche habit. It's practically what everyone is doing, and it's setting off a pretty powerful and negative chain reaction.
So what's really interesting is that researchers have actually mapped out the whole domino effect of this one habit. You can see it here. It all kicks off with using your phone at bedtime, which then leads directly to poor sleep. And from there, it just triggers this whole cascade of negative impacts on everything you do the next day. This study confirmed a direct negative link. The more you use your phone for stuff like surfing the web or watching videos before bed, the worse you sleep. It kind of makes sense, right? The blue light from the screen messes with your melatonin production, and all that content keeps your mind buzzing when it should be powering down for the night.
And the consequences the next day? They are incredibly stark. Poor sleep was a huge predictor of worse outcomes at the office. We're talking lower performance, more friction with your coworkers, and just feeling less engaged with your work. It's a really clear cause and effect relationship.
Okay, so if we know it's bad for us, why can't we just, put the phone down and switch off our work brain? Well, the answer is in this fascinating psychological quirk that explains why unfinished business has such a powerful grip on our minds. It's called the Zeigarnik effect, and it was first observed way back in the 1920s by a psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik, who noticed something really peculiar about the waiters in a busy Vienna cafe. She saw that the waiters could remember these super complex, unpaid orders perfectly, but the second the bill was paid, poof, they'd forget the details. It's like our brains open up a little mental file for every unfinished task. A great way to think about it today is like having dozens of open browser tabs. Every email, every Slack message, it's another tab left open, creating this tension that keeps it front and center in your mind. And this quote from the psychologist William James just captures that feeling perfectly. That mental tension is like a cognitive itch that needs to be scratched. It's your brain's built-in system to make sure you finish what you start. But when you have way too many of these open loops, it just becomes a source of constant draining stress. So here's the crucial part, the big takeaway. To truly disconnect, you don't actually need to finish everything. I mean, that's impossible, right? You just need to convince your brain that you have a solid plan to deal with it later. The solution has a name, the shutdown ritual. This term was coined by computer science professor Cal Newport, and it's basically a short, consistent routine you do at the end of your workday. It's designed specifically to close all those mental browser tabs. It's a formal process for ending your professional day. And the ritual itself is really simple, but incredibly powerful. First, you just review everything that's still open, your emails, projects, to-dos. Then, for each one, you make a concrete plan for when and how you're going to tackle it next. And then, this is key, you capture that plan somewhere you trust, like a planner or to-do list app. By getting it out of your head, you're telling your brain, hey, this is handled, and that gives it permission to finally close that tab. All right, so let's build this idea out into a practical toolkit, some real things you can start doing today to end your workday with intention and actually leave work at work. This is where the theory becomes action. Your toolkit can have mental actions, like writing out tomorrow's to-do list that quiets that Zeigarnik effect right down. It can have digital actions, like closing all your work tabs and apps to create a clean slate. And it can have physical actions, like actually packing up your laptop or even just taking a short walk around the block.
These things create a really powerful psychological boundary between your work life and your personal life.
And this really, really matters because constantly failing to disconnect doesn't just cause stress, it's a direct path to burnout. The Calm blog has this great analogy. Think of stress as your battery running low. You're under pressure, but you can still function. Burnout, on the other hand, is when that battery is completely flat. It's a state of total emotional exhaustion where you just feel empty. A shutdown ritual, that's your daily charging station. So, by creating this intentional closure for your workday, you're not just stopping work. You are freeing up so much valuable mental and emotional energy for the rest of your life. The real question isn't just about how to switch off from work. It's about what you'll finally have the space to switch on.